All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We are stepping directly into a chilling, locked room mystery down in a cellar in Vienna. We're looking at a tabletop game, but get this, the stakes here are quite literally life, death, and honestly, the very fabric of reality itself. So picture a dead man. His name's Albrecht Sonnet, and he's slumped over this wildly intricate tabletop game. His fingers are literally still clutching an ivory figure, perfectly balanced at a crossroads on the board, representing this massive unmade choice. And as another player reaches over to gently take the piece from his hand, they realize this incredibly haunting detail. The ivory is still warm. It's almost as if the piece itself retained the memory of being held, trapped right in that precise moment of deciding. Now, you might be wondering, why is this one single death an absolute catastrophe? Well, to understand that, we need to look at the Custodians. They're this highly secretive group of 50 players scattered worldwide, and they're dedicated to maintaining continuous, unbroken play of this game, which is called Meridian. And for them, guys, this isn't just some weekend pastime or hobby. No, it's a critical, world-sustaining duty. They truly believe that their continuous play literally keeps something alive. They operate within this super rigid, precise 4-player system. You've got active players from all over Europe, and they each manage specific geographic quadrants of the board. But check out the northeast quadrant. Albrecht Senne's sudden death just left a really critical move completely unfinished. And because of this gap, the board itself is physically reacting to it. The painted lines of the northeast district, which they call the Narrows, are literally physically beginning to fade away. Crazy, right? Which brings us to a frankly terrifying ticking clock. Because the game is currently paused mid-move, the Custodians calculated the math, and they have exactly 11 days, just 11 days before the northeast quarter of the game board begins to completely cascade and fail, and it's going to take the structural integrity of the rest of the board right down with it. 9 centuries of play. The weight of unbroken consequence. Let's dive into the history to see how this all builds into an impossible, monumental puzzle. Because the sheer scale of this game is just absolutely staggering. Meridian has been played continuously since the year 1187. That is 9 centuries of unbroken consequence. I mean, it survived actual sieges. Picture players continuing their match underground in Vienna in 1683 while artillery is literally firing right above their heads. And over the years, it's seen brilliant players like the 19th century astronomer Emil Hartmann make moves that permanently deepen the game's foundational capacity. It's so much more than just a game at this point. It is a living, evolving, ancient architecture. So, enter our detective for this explainer, Riel Vasquez. Riel is a forensic cartographer. She's a hardcore skeptic who analyzes maps as forensic evidence to uncover the hidden truths and the lies of human history. She absolutely does not believe in magic or coincidence. But she's brought in by the Custodians to read the board, analyze the incredibly complex notation of Albrecht's final 9 months of play, and basically deduce exactly what he was about to do right before his heart stopped. By tracing his path, Riel discovers that Albrecht spent 9 patient months slowly marching his piece toward a very specific street on the board called the Via Contempla. Now, this street possesses an incredible property known in the game as memorial persistence. Think of it kind of like a permanent save file in a video game. Decisions made on this street, they don't just fade away into the next turn, they permanently accumulate. They structurally alter the game's foundation forever. It is, quite literally, the memory of the game. And right above the doorway of Albrecht's exact destination on the board is this super cryptic, ancient promise. Written in a mix of Latin and game notation from centuries ago, it just reads, Hic manet, here remains. This is a massive, massive clue that Riel has to decipher to figure out Albrecht's ultimate goal. It's not just a nice little description, it is a binding promise that this location is going to hold up when the time comes. Using her cartographer's lens, Riel finally uncovers Albrecht's true strategy, and it's brilliant. He wasn't actually playing against his opponents at all. Instead, he was systematically surveying the board to find its hidden edges. He was mapping out the places where the physical board ended, but the logical grid of the city just kept going. He was looking for that profound connection between the painted plan on the table and whatever lies beneath it. And this leads Riel to a complete, massive paradigm shift. The Custodians' continuous obsessive play hasn't just been tracking a game. Over 9 centuries, their collective attention has literally generated reality. Beneath the physical board lies the depth, an actual, living, breathing city sustained purely by human attention
an imagined inhabitation. The game is literally playing its players to keep itself alive. How wild is that?
Just imagine the contrast here. On one side, you have the physical board. It's just a simple, painted wooden plan viewed from above. But then, on the other side, you have the depth. A fully lived-in, complete city with ambient Mediterranean light. You can hear acoustic delays echoing in stone courtyards. There are actual physical cobblestones. As Riel sits at the table, she realizes, oh my gosh, she can actually perceive the light in the architecture of the city. The map on the table is sustaining a massive, real territory. So what exactly was Albrecht's final move? Well, he was about to use a rare, ancient first move symbol right there at the Via Contempla crossing. His grand architectural plan was to complete the circuit. He wanted to connect the physical plan directly down into the depth. By doing this, he would allow the city to sustain itself permanently, completely freeing it from the Custodians forever. Basically, he was going to make the continuous 9th-century game completely unnecessary. But of course, there is a prime suspect in Albrecht's death who might have wanted to stop all of this: Benedikt Voss. He is the best player currently alive, and get this, 7 years ago, he actively tried to ban players from ever entering the Via Contempla in the first place. Plus, he's been tracking Albrecht's moves for the last 9 months.
Now, this raises a massive question for us. If Voss knew exactly how Albrecht could secure the city's permanent survival and wrap up 9 centuries of work, why on earth did he spend 2 decades desperately trying to sabotage it? Why spend 20 years stopping the game's ultimate completion? I mean, on paper, it looks like a clear-cut murder just to protect the status quo, right?
But the heartbreaking truth lies in a single, terrifying realization. Voss didn't actually murder Albrecht. Albrecht simply had a natural heart attack right there at the table. Voss was just trapped by his own profound grief and this deep existential terror. He was asking himself, when the thing you have been sustaining no longer requires sustaining, what are you? See, Voss wasn't an assassin. He was just terrified of losing his life's sole purpose and his entire community's identity if the game actually ended.
Which brings Riel, and all of us, to this final, unforgettable dilemma. Riel now sits down at the board, preparing to make Albrecht's final move. And you really have to ask yourself, if completing the ultimate masterpiece makes your own life's purpose completely obsolete, do you still make that final move? What actually happens when the map finally becomes the territory and the creators are no longer needed?